another match point.
Incredible third set here.
They changed their strategy a little bit and they fought their way back in.
There it is, game, set, and match. Hello and welcome to the 2024-25 APTA Tour. We're live from the Ridgewood Country Club in Paramus, New Jersey, bringing you the Ridgewood Classic, with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsors, Volley and Corient. Tournament support has been provided by the following local sponsors, Ridgewood Country Club and Xenon Paddle. I'm Mike Raleigh alongside Guy Moore, bringing you the men's final between Tommy Grigorovich and Jose Salazar versus Russell Benkheim and Gabriel Friedrich. Guy Moore, welcome to the booth.
How are you, Mike Raleigh?
I am fantastic.
Nice brisk day in Jersey here, New Jersey, around 38 degrees. Warmer than yesterday, it was 15 degrees. Let me introduce our players, Mike. On the bottom right of the screen, we have Tommy Grigorovich in the black and looks like gray sweatpants, yellow shoes there, white paddle. His partner, Jose Salazar, with the white vest and blue shoes. Across the net, we have Russell Benkheim, who just served in kind of the heather red sweatshirt, and his partner, Gabriel Friedrich, in the all black and white hat. These guys both had some battles in the semis, right, Mike?
I think, yeah, I think both semis went 3 sets. Tommy G and Salazar had a bit of a slow start and then kind of got running and ripped through their match. And then I think throughout the other semi was just a true dogfight as well. But these guys are professionals. I mean, they have, I'm sure, recovered and ready to go.
Absolutely. We have chair umpire Derek Yost sitting up high there. It looks like he's nice and warm. This will be best 2 out of 3 sets, regular scoring. And you know what's interesting too, Mike, and I find it really kind of fun to watch and just see the different partnerships and matchups. All these guys, I mean, Jose Salazar obviously plays with Alvi Regalado. He and Tommy G here, Tommy Grigorovich are the #1 seed, but you know, all these guys are good friends. Russell Benkheim playing with Gabriel Friedrich. You know, it's nice to see different partnerships because it just changes the matchup, right?
Yeah, you know, I love to see too how their roles change based on who they're playing with and, you know, and how they play.
Absolutely. Here we go.
I mean, see right out of the gate, I mean, you know, Friedrich and Benkheim on the top part of our screen here are, I mean, both extremely talented. Friedrich played tennis at the University of South Carolina, and Russell Benkheim, I believe, played at Utah. And you know, so their tennis background and acumen is as strong as anybody out there, and all 4 of these guys are just extremely talented with, you know, offense from both sides. You see that hammer from Friedrich there.
Yeah, and the thing about these 4 players are just kind of a perfect example of the new trend in paddle in terms of how quickly players learn the game. I mean, Russell Benkheim and Gabriel Friedrich and Jose Salazar and Tommy Grigorovich. I mean, these guys have not been around a long time, but they're at the top of the game in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I think I remember watching Friedrich and his buddy from South Carolina, Yancey. They, in 2023, and I think the last time the Nationals were in Chicago, that was kind of their coming out party. They had a great match against Scotland. I had it somewhere in this brain of mine, and now it's gonzo. But you know, that to me was the first time that I got to see them play, and very impressive.
Yeah, and you know, most of these teams have the capability of playing slow, playing fast. I mean, they certainly check all the boxes metric-wise. You know, based on the matchup, they can play any way they need to be successful. So you see Friedrich covering. And that's the thing too. You know, Mike, you see Friedrich knowing that they're hitting the balls over to Bentheim, and he's already drifted to the middle. So when that ball does hit the nick, there's no scrambling.
Yeah, everybody's got their job, right? They've got the trailer there
Absolutely.
coming to the middle.
And you see Salazar doing the same thing when that ball went to Grigorovich's corner. Okay, quick 1-love lead for Bentheim and Friedrich.
Shout out to Patty Hogan. She had just gave me they beat Humphreys and Osis Koenig, I believe, in the Chicago Nationals. It's their coming out party.
Russell Bentheim serving, the black cat here. And we'll see this probably, especially at these temps. And this is kind of the perfect temperature to spin balls and do quite a bit of damage with some of these shorter overheads that they might get. But Russell Bentheim's slash cutter overheads, certainly one of the best in the game. He picks the right time to use it, and when he hits it well, it's trouble.
And you see there him looking to jump up that side screen to hit that two-hander. You know, that just it's really shrinking the amount of space that Tommy G and Salazar can hit their overheads.
Yeah.
You see him how he's always looking to jump up on that line. And what I like is how Friedrich is covering behind him. We've already seen it twice, I think.
Yeah, and that's clearly something they're looking for. I mean, it's something that they've discussed, and you know, Bentheim is quick. And my question for you, when you see Bentheim doing that, which is a great move, I mean, clearly he's only looking for his backhand there and not looking for his forehand as well. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he just lets the ball go, and Friedrich is right there to help.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really looking for. It's almost like a guy in the batter's box. You know, they're looking for a very specific pitch to a very specific spot, and if it's not there, he's not going to hit it.
Right. Great close by Bentheim. He saw that drive coming from Salazar. And you see, you know, traditional formation at the net. And that's one of the things that's kind of been changing a little bit, Mike, is players at the net, you know, especially two righties, not playing as much in the stagger anymore. They're playing a little bit more side by side. And you can do that with amazing hands. I mean, Salazar and Regalado do it as well as anybody, but I just see a little bit more of that this season. What do you think?
I see it when I think it jumps out to me more when the team is in kind of control of their overheads, you know, where they are the ones that are basically not on the defensive, where they're beyond the service line. Right. You know, they do get into it a little bit more of a kind of a little neutral stance in that middle portion of the service boxes. Holy smokes.
That is
another
shot right there.
A hammer, but rather good feat of athleticism there for Salazar to hop over that thing and let it go through the wickets.
Yeah, he wouldn't be standing if he didn't, would he?
So, you know, we were talking before we came on air. I think the you know, Regalado Salazar team, they have their team name. I think it's Galazar is what we're going to have to do here. Do you think they have their name on the looked to seem to have some matching colors, but not the full-on regular uniform there.
Good cover by Bentheim. And again, Friedrich's there if he needs him. Great ball right in the corner. And Mike, 100% aiming for the nick there, yes?
I think, you know, it absolutely. You know, and it's kind of a part waterfall, part shot right into the nick, and he executed it about as well as you could.
And the other thing that does with those overheads at that corner is it speeds things up, for sure. Because the tighter the ball is in the corner, the quicker it's going to come out. So, and he's really, most of these guys aiming, and the women as well, aiming for that nick, are not missing into the backside. They'll miss the other way because they don't want the ball to come off the side screen, because that turns into offense quickly for the baseline team.
Boy, we see some uncharacteristic errors early in the match here. Just everybody settling in a little bit. So
Great
Bentheim
serve. Wow.
shanking overhead and then looked at his paddle. But yeah, that was Tommy G bringing the heaviness there.
And that's where, again, over the past 15 years, the game's just changed so much. As you know, most of these players at the top of the game, both women and men, all have tremendous tennis backgrounds. So they just have firepower off both sides.
And I believe all 4 players on the court today are teaching professionals. They're not only players, but they're teaching the game as well. Salazar's at the Stanwich Club.
Right. Bentheim's at Mountain Lakes. Yep. Mountain Ridge, right?
And then Tommy G is at, I believe, Orienta Beach Club. And last but not least is Friedrich at Weburn.
Bunch of nice clubs right there.
I'm sure all the members are enjoying the live stream, rooting on their favorite pros.
And you can see Friedrich, and you know, certainly when they go over to that deuce side where Tommy Grigorovich is, they play more side by side, and then a little bit more in the stagger when they're playing the backhand side of the court.
Yeah, and you know, I think that one thing that, whether or not they're in that, what you've been calling the staggered position, the role of the player on the left-hand side of the court, you know, on that with 2 righties, you know, it doesn't change. They're still the dominant player hitting the majority of those overheads, and
right.
You know, I think that's something that, you know, regardless of where they are, you know, if they're truly staggered or not, that role, you know, you see how right now Bentheim being on our screen on that top right, but really he's the left-hand player at the net. He's still driving the majority of these overheads.
Right. And the easy way to identify what you're saying is whoever's forehand overhead it is, between the 2 of them, that's who's going to hit all those balls. We're not looking for people to hit backhand overheads, right?
Yeah, or moving to their left to hit an overhead.
Right. And what happens when you go to the deuce side of the court, the person to the right, player to the right, still isn't going to take overheads in between him and his partner, but they have more overheads to cover to their right because there's simply more court.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so black and white in most situations where 2 righties play the backhand side of the court, because the player to the right or in the volley position just has, there's that big backhand by Bentheim, just sitting on it, right?
Yes. Night. Wow, what a cutter. That's a heck of a combination there. He takes it a short hop two-hander, drives through him, transitions to the net, and hits the cut overhead winner.
Yeah, and you would say probably early on here that the baseline scheme, because you have a scheme at the baseline as much as you do at the net at this level, trying to create the patterns. I mean, it's clear to me that they're trying to create that pattern that gives Benkom exactly what we just saw 2 balls ago, right?
Yeah, and I'd say, you know, early on that ball to his outside is two-hander, and then also the ball on the wing to Friedrich on the deuce side, you know, on the outside where we've seen him already step over and crack that big forehand drive. And not to say that both of these players don't have, you know, offense on the opposite side, but wow.
That is a rocket. Wow.
I mean, it was impressive again for Salazar just to be able to let that ball go through.
I mean, the paddle head speed with that ball coming off, I mean, that's, from what I've seen here, I mean, that's the biggest weapon on the court right there, isn't it?
Thing has got some serious pace to it.
Yeah. Great spot drive by Salazar there, not trying to do anything but keep the ball low. And even if the ball comes back over, Friedrich's got a volley up, and then the next ball, he starts that series of drives. You know, if he gets something short, he's going to spot it and go after it again. If it's a deep volley, he's just going to lob probably the same person he drove to, because they're most vulnerable to the lob. Their lob coverage isn't nearly as good because they got pulled into volley. You see Salazar drifting over. And as soon as he sees that Tommy G has the ball, he just moves back to his corner. He's not going to get beat behind him.
And I think another great thing to watch on the live stream is, you know, not spending as much time just watching the ball, but you watch the opponents. You know, for example, you watched Gorovich and Salazar here. When they do hit a good lob, their positioning, you see Salazar move to his left as he pushed Benkom back, opening up that forehand drive.
And I like what Gorovich and Salazar are doing. They're lobbing a lot of balls right in the middle. And you can see that sometimes there's a little confusion with Benkom and Friedrich, which is exactly what they want. Great hands by Benkom.
Yeah, and you know, you think of the reasons why we lob. They have to, you know, that's number one. Two, they're trying to create movement and or confusion to set up drive opportunities. So it's not a bad play to work that middle of the court, especially if a team is, you know, maybe they haven't played a lot together. These aren't their normal partners, testing that area of the court.
Yeah, and we got to remember, you know, for the most part, unless you're talking about hard roller overheads, cutters, slashes, the offense really comes from the baseline. So if they lob productively with a lot of value, that's a big shot by Tommy G.
Wow. We're seeing a clinic here at the net with the volleys, half volleys. Couldn't tell.
Yeah,
Was
like
that drive long?
I think it was close. I mean, he used every inch of the court if it was good on the diagonal there.
I think Benkom would like to have let that one go through. He's trying to do a little bit too much with his volleys there. And as a normally you'll see, you know, players, if that ball is not within kind of a specific window when they're volleying, they'll let it go through and transition out of there.
Yeah, especially at this level.
And you
I mean,
see
we
what
just saw.
happens. Yeah,
Right.
they don't, right?
No.
It probably gets real difficult.
Well, it's a bad matchup when you have Bentheim driving his two-handed backhand from the service line, and certainly the same thing with Tommy G. Grigorovic. And again, I'll kind of say what I said a few minutes ago, but generally they're not looking for both sides. They're either looking for that backhand or the forehand. And that minimizes the mistakes. So, meaning if they're looking to drive their backhand and the ball comes to their forehand, they're probably going to lob it and vice versa. Like you see right there's a good example. Tommy G was 100% looking for his backhand, ball went to his forehand and he just pushed it back.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for everybody out there. Full commitment to a specific shot, and if it's not there, then throw up a lob and hard.
There it is. Okay, cover, switch. See if they stay like this, just to give Bentheim and Friedrich a little bit of a different look. Mike, would you agree too that kind of the lobs, great ball by Salazar, the lobs down the line and kind of at different heights right into those gray areas, and I'll explain in more detail shortly, but those are the ones that do exactly what you just said. They create confusion and they create movement, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a little fault there. Break point number 2 here. Tommy G.
I think Tommy G's going to be looking for his backhand here. And that's just a glimpse at what Bentheim can do. I mean,
wow, hello.
Yeah.
Love to see a replay of that one.
Yeah, when a couple weeks ago when I was calling one of his matches, I mean, some of the cutters that he was hitting, I think I used the word devastating, but I mean, that's maybe a little dramatic, but I mean, the ball isn't coming back, is it, Mike?
No, he put that one to bed. It's night-night. You know, and what that does to a driver is, like we saw there, Grigorovic didn't unload on that forehand. He kind of hit a roller, off-speed roller, and it just gave Bentheim too much time to see it coming, and then he actually uses his spin against him and kind of is like, I'm going to raise your spin and double it up here.
It's kind of like the, I don't know how old of a saying it is, but it'll always be true. It's, you know, if you're the baseline team playing against someone with tremendous hands, you know, a team that can close well, the more time you have to drive, the less you should drive. Because the more time you have to drive, the more time they can see it. And what Bentheim just did there 2 points ago is a good example. I like him going for that cutter right there, Mike.
I like it. I think he just didn't take that. You know, it was the footwork, in my opinion, that kind of didn't get into the perfect position to hit it.
Yeah, he's got to be on his front foot.
Nice little dig.
And we're seeing the majority of the drives on the outside, you know, the outside wires are drives that are happening because the ball isn't making it to the screen. I mean, I know that's the obvious, but especially with Grigorovic and Bentheim when they're playing the backhand sides, you know, that ball, if they're going to go over there with the backhands that both of those players have, whoever's hitting the overhead better get it to the side back. And if they don't, you'll see them almost just, like you mentioned earlier, look for one window to volley, and then anything else they'll just let go.
Yeah, nice series there. 2 good lobs followed up with 2 good drives, but they're right back at neutral. There's some firepower on the court today.
Here we go, 3-1. So that lob there was a great lob, and I'm sure Friedrich wished he just let that bounce, right? Because you only reward somebody for a good lob if you play it off your back foot instead of letting it bounce like that. That would have been an easy ball just to let go off the back screen. Still in the point. Back to neutral. 3-1. Salazar serving.
It's 3 games in a row from Grigalizar, team of Grigorovic and Salazar, right? I mean, all of them have been tight, but thus far they're winning the tight games.
Yeah, and that was a long game there. Yeah, and the difference, to be honest with you, Mike, is minimal. It's just, you know, errors like that aren't usually made by any of these guys. I mean, the match is actually very tight. It's just who makes that mistake, right?
I mean, as much as the game, you know, has changed and become, you know, more athletic and faster, and it still comes down to who's making the errors, right?
Always, for sure. Like,
I mean,
look at this matchup. Would you say, I mean, these teams are very similar in what they're doing? I mean, they're both lobbing well. They both have a lot of weapons from the baseline. I mean, obviously, both of their strategies when they're at the net is to stay away from the weapons that, you know, these both sides have, and certainly trying to get the ball to the screen like that. I mean, if you're going to go there, right, just get it to the side. A little deep to hit that one.
but some of those errors, like that error right there, that is an error that's based on, I think you've got to factor in the pressure of Salazar and Grigorovic's position, coupled with the deep lob. It's like, God, where do I put this ball without getting hurt? Great hands from Salazar there. You know,
yeah,
but
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that too. And wouldn't you also say too that there's going to be times when you get in trouble as the net team, and you have to have a spot that you and your partner agree on. That's the bailout spot. So even if the ball comes back as a drive, at least the team's in front of it and knows where it's coming back from. Right?
100%. I mean, absolutely. You know, I think you have, you know, as a partnership, I think you're really defining, okay, what's our general strategy, but, you know, where are we going when we're in trouble? Where's our bailout?
Exactly.
And I mean, then you've got some plan that both players are going to know where that ball should go and are able to start looking to defend it before it's hit. Boy, there's some great pressure from Bentheim.
Yeah, and he does that well. He can play the baseline, slow, 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 and then huge transition, right? That buzzed the tower. Yeah, and that's what we were discussing there before. Is, you know, I think the weapon that Friedrich and Bentheim are looking to set up is that backhand of Bentheim's. I like that drive right there, don't you?
Yeah, I just think
the one to Bentheim. Yeah,
just went a little big with it.
Yeah, I think it was the right shot for sure. And I liked where he was going behind him. Yeah.
I think the volume was a little little loud on it.
Yeah, I think that's so that's the same drive, right? Just with a different pace and spin, RPMs, but same spot. Great spot by Bentheim.
Bentheim, if he's starting to cinch that middle up at the threat of that drive, it's forcing Salazar and Grigorovich to choose where they're going to hit their overheads when they're in trouble. Because if, you know, the obvious bailout spot being the middle, if that's not open for business because of that forehand, now it's like, well, pick your poison. You're going to hit wide to his backhand, where he's been shown, you know, to jump up and hit that two-hander, or you got to deal with Friedrich's forehand on the other side.
Absolutely, and you could see Bentheim when he is shrinking the middle that he's not looking to jump the backhand. He's clearly just looking for the forehand. So, yeah, it's sometimes it's confusing for Salazar and Grigorovic. Yeah, great lob. Where to go with that? Let's see if Friedrich and Bentheim stay like this. They'll switch back in the backcourt. Hey, what I like that's a good look too, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
With Bentheim's backhand in the middle.
Yeah, it's like, man.
It is.
I think, you know, another great lesson is, you know, these four players can play both sides of the court. And, you know, for the average player, when they say, well, I only play deuce or I only play the ad side, they need to grow into being able to play both sides. You know, whether they get switched and they're forced to, or maybe in their weekly match, you know, your normal partner isn't there. Flexibility is the key to kind of, you know, be able to play both sides. Is benefits everybody.
It does, and the other thing about that is it helps you as a player because forehand and back inside of the court, kind of some different tactics over there.
Yep.
Technically as well, but you know most teams will. Great move by Salazar. Yeah, most teams will tend to play the backhand side of the court for what we said earlier. It's just a little easier, but yeah, and by the way, you know what? You and I are going to be a team, right, Mike? And I like to play the backhand, but you're just much better at me over there playing the backhand. Well, I still want to play with you. I just got to play the forehand, right?
You know, yeah, I think so.
Just built you up right there, Mike.
There you go, man.
You're going to have a good Sunday now.
No, it's already better. Yeah, there's something I wanted to mention that we've seen in this game twice. The lob out of the ad side, sorry, out of the deuce side, that it created, both times it was hit on that cross court. So coming from deuce corner to deuce corner on that lob, I think some people call it Q4. Peter Burke reference there. That, you know, it's that deuce quadrant that created problems for Friedrich, and they lost control both times of the net and the point. And that may be because they haven't played, you know, too often together.
Yeah, and you see that ball that Friedrich just lobbed, and Grigorovic moved over to his right. I mean, that is the ball in that gray area. You know, if they don't communicate, that causes a lot of trouble.
Boy.
And there it is.
4-1.
4-1. Mike, let me tell you about one of our great sponsors. Did you know that Volley has thrown 5 million balls to players working on their game? Don't get left behind. Get your reps in with Volley. Whether it's day or night, you're in control of your training. Volley offers world-class training on demand, helping you sharpen your skills and level up your game whenever it fits your schedule. Ready to join the movement? Start training smarter with Volley today. Now, in Chicago this week, Mike, since all of the teaching pros, rightfully so, took Monday and Tuesday to stay inside the house because it was, what was it, 25 below with wind,
No
maybe
wind
more.
chill. Yeah, yeah.
But
It was,
there were
bloody.
probably some people, but the volley machine still works in that. So, see, right?
Yeah, if I wasn't willing to go out there, they could have. But it was a little chilly, a little chilly.
All right, so 4-1 in the first set. On the close side of our screen, we have Gabrielle Friedrich in the black with the white hat. Russell Bentheim with the heather red sweatshirt, black hat, serving right now. Serving to Tommy Grigorovic. Looks like gray sweatpants, yellow shoes, blue top. Now they look, I think they are matching though now, Mike.
I mean, they got the same color scheme.
Yeah, and then you have Jose Salazar with the blue top on and blue shoes and looks like gray pants as well. Mike, what do you think the difference in the matches so far? It's 4-1. I mean, I think we've already kind of alluded to it, but what are your thoughts?
I think so far, the inability of Bentheim and Friedrich to win the big, I mean, you know, I think they've had game points in almost every one of the 4 games that they've lost. So I think it really comes down to Salazar with some wheels there, fails to catch up to that ball. I think that's the tough spot is they're not winning the big. It seems like Grigorovic and Salazar are winning the big points, but it's neck and neck. I mean, I wouldn't make any major changes here. I just tighten things up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's great volley by Bentheim. It's just a couple untimely mistakes, right? At the probably the bigger moments of the first set so far.
But the great thing was that they weren't mistakes in, you know, I think one thing that I spend a fair amount of time, you know, discussing is are they execution errors or are they tactically making the wrong decision, right? And
yep.
I mean, I think looking back at the last 5 games, some really good looks, just the failure to execute the ball. Maybe they overhit it, or you know, they just tried to pinch it too close to the line.
Right, and that's what we've said. We've said, hey, I mean, we've said, hey, those are the right looks. And that's, again, you could lose a set 6-1 and it still be close like it is with all the game points you just said. And if you clean up the technical side of it, you could win the next set 6-1. It's and not needing to change anything tactically. It's interesting to see too, and you know, some points are, I mean, every point's important, but some points are bigger than others. You know, how they slowed this down a little bit. Great drive, Salazar.
Yeah, you know, and I love some of the saying of people when they come off the court, and I've been guilty of it too. It's, oh, every game went to deuce.
Right.
Well, what's your score? Oh, it's 5-1, but every game's gone to deuce. I mean, it's
it was closer than that.
Yeah. Well, I can't hear the discussion.
Whatever you want. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever you want. Just leave it out. Okay.
All right. Tommy Gregorovic serving for the set at 5-1. Every time I say that, someone faults Mike.
Well, maybe we ought to think of a different way to quit sabotaging server and come up with. Oh,
yeah. I didn't say anything that time.
there we go. You planted the seed, though. Were they talking about a new ball here? Was it? I mean, this is the 7th game. Sometimes you see a player take a new ball and it's got just a slightly different feel, and they a lot of times end up faulting.
Well, this has been a smooth weekend here at the Ridgewood Classic. Louis Vauclair, the director of rackets here, great job along with the membership. Great, beautiful clubhouse, great paddle program. Awesome club in northern New Jersey.
You know, I mean, this is what I think the calendar reads January 25th, but we still have so much paddle between now and the end of the season. You know, I think next week in Chicago, we've got the Birchwood Open.
In Short Hills, right?
Short Hills. A busy weekend next weekend for the live streaming cruise.
Yeah, and then how about nationals this year? Kind of a different format with the Saturday evening watch party, right? Going to go Thursday through Saturday.
Yeah, they're starting Thursday about 1 p.m. and then they run into the finals on Saturday evening, which is a big change from that Sunday, you know, traditional Sunday finals.
Yeah, it's a great move by the APTA. I mean, you know, that's kind of Saturdays at most paddle tournaments are the biggest day of the tournament, right? In terms of spectators and club members and.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that. That's a nice, another cutter from Benkai there. Boy, you see a little frustration there from Friedrich. It takes us to the end of the first set of the finals of the Ridgewood Classic. We'll be back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the men's finals of the Ridgewood Classic between Gregorovic, Salazar, and Benkai and Friedrich. I'm Mike Raleigh alongside Guy Moore. Guy, what's your thoughts on that first set? I mean, the scoreboard says 6-1. There's our Derek Yost, our chair umpire. But what are your thoughts there in that first set?
Well, it's more or less what we were saying right before we went to break there. I think tactically both sides have good plans. It's just been a couple of the technical errors from Benkai and Friedrich, and I think they're making the right choices. I mean, this set, I don't want to say could easily be 6-1 the other way, but it could still be going on at 3-all for sure. But I don't think any major changes. I mean, it's clear that both of these teams are lobbing to areas to create the movement of the ball because both players and both teams have weapons from the deuce and the ad side of the court. I think Ben Keim is certainly looking to jump that backhand on the side screen on the ad side. I'd like to see them create patterns that gives them more of a look at that. And by the way, by him getting looks, Gabriel Friedrich's going to get a look at that forehand, which I mean, I think that forehand he hits is as hard as I've seen anyone hit a forehand.
Yeah, you know, and the reality is that there's firepower on, you know, there's no true place to hide. But,
right.
I mean, the true hot spots, in my opinion, are the Friedrich forehand and then that shorter ball where Ben Keim likes to come in with that two-hander. And, you know, I think just pump the brakes a little bit when they do have those opportunities. And I think sometimes you expect the drive to be a point ender when in reality at this level, you know, that ball's going to come back probably 95% and 90% of the time. So they have to have that mentality that the initial drive is more of the initiator, and it might set up the short ball that they can either win the point off of that or take the net.
Do you think that the longer the point goes, it favors Grigorovic and Salazar or Ben Keim and Friedrich?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I think that Ben Keim and Friedrich want to slow it down a little bit and have longer points, but I also think that the longer the points gone on, it's favored Grigorovic and Salazar so far in that first set, just because of a couple errors. I mean, and I think going back to what you said too, just playing the game points and those bigger points, making Salazar and Grigorovic earn it.
A good move there. I'd like to see Friedrich more up on the baseline when he's driving that ball.
Yeah, going forward, right?
Yeah, he was kind of a little fade away.
And again, that's where Tommy G and Salazar will just see it and close the net. They just have too much time. How about going back to that conversation too, Mike, about technical versus tactical? Let's say, you know, Friedrich drives that ball and, you know, unfortunately he missed it, but you saw standing on top of the net was Grigorovic. So
yeah.
Even if he made it, he's right there. So that's really, I mean, you could call it technical, but it's a tactical mistake because even if he executes.
Mm-hmm. Or it puts so much pressure on the execution that he might hit it even bigger, knowing
right.
that if he just kind of lays it in there, you know, the potential for a drop shot or, you know, ball in behind his partner rises dramatically. And here, you know, was it a little an error off the sun? I bet right there. I would say that the difference maker in this match is going to be if Grigorovic and Salazar were to somehow lose control of this match, it would come down to the play, in my opinion, and this is no way a slight on Grigorovic, but he would be the point that I think if I were, you know, coaching Ben Keim and Friedrich here, we might want to make his play be the play that beats us, not Salazar.
Right. There they go to the switch in the backcourt. Well, how about this thought too? If Salazar and Grigorovich knew that that was the case from a tactical perspective, moving him over to the deuce side where he is right now, not a bad idea, because it's harder to play that side. Yeah, exactly. That's a great ball to let go through. Everyone's scrambling. No need to get involved in that, right?
No, they just let that go through, let them both go through and play the next ball. That's precision there from Tommy G, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just holds it, lets the ball keep moving forward. And the other thing about that too, Mike, is when he holds it like that and lets the play extend itself, he could also see where Bentheim and Friedrich are. And good move by them, you know, giving up the net as they saw Tommy G moving forward.
Boy, another great let cord from Salazar.
And going back to what we said in the first set, having the ability to play both sides. Clearly, you know, with Regalado, Salazar plays, and you see them switching for the purpose that we were kind of discussing, but Salazar right in his comfort zone playing the backhand side of the court.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that first game of the second set here was more of what we had in the first set, where, you know, Bentheim and Friedrich are in the game, and Salazar and Grigorovich just almost are hanging around enough until they get, you know, maybe a loose overhead error there, or so when I was saying earlier about tightening up, those are the areas I think right there, you know, that don't let a great lob end the point by a missed overhead. You know, worst case scenario, and I always say the worst thing that should come out of a great lob is you either lose the net or your opponent is driving the ball back at you.
Right.
You know, you can't have a great lob be the point ender.
Right, you should just let that ball bounce.
Or,
Correct.
you know, dump to the center and give up. I mean, we've seen the transition play from all four players on a really good lob. Yeah, either let it land or just dump it in the middle and bail behind the overhead. It's a great job. Good positive fist bump there from Bentheim.
And this is what they need. They need a quick game, because those quick games kind of readjust the momentum.
Yeah.
Good lead by Bentheim.
Careful, careful. Oh.
Yep.
But that's it right there. That is the ball you want, right? I mean, he just didn't execute. But boy, love that initial forehand from Friedrich.
Yeah, he has quite a wingspan over there, doesn't he?
Quick little step.
Let's see what they stay with this strategy to kind of slow it down a little bit. And the question too is, you know, when you decide to slow it down, are you willing to play that way for a few games and not hit 150 balls and all of a sudden say, you know what, this isn't working, now we speed it up, you know? Sometimes it takes some time for the tactics. Even if you lost a game, your tactics still could be correct.
Yes. And I think it's very difficult with from maybe point to point, game to game, to play both sides of the street. To play fast and then say, okay, now we're gonna play slow.
Right.
You almost have to be full committed to one speed or the other. Oh, wow.
Around the post, little ATP.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what?
Take that cutter.
You see too, Grigorovic, after he hit that, he just wanted to watch that a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you, he's a showman. He's got all the shots. I love watching him play. And it is amazing how the differentiator between that highest level of, let's say, our top couple teams, and then that second tier, where it's just that next level. Sometimes it's not the shot making ability, but it's the discipline that is needed. So they have, the ability to make all the shots, but they also have the discipline to play all those shots and wait for the right balls. And boy, because if you think about, if we were to talk about what are your top 4 picks at nationals, most people are going to say, boy, let's look at the seeds, and they generally will hold true, right?
For sure. You might have one upset out of the top 4.
Right.
But
I mean, what differentiates the top 4, or I just threw that number out there, but between your 10, oh, that was a nice overhead, shake things up there for Friedrich.
I tell you what, that is, let's just see if we see more of that, because I mean,
it's unsettling. Unsettling if you're in the backcourt, especially if you're that deuce-side player.
Absolutely. And that just showed why, because it's so tough to get out of the way, because you don't know if you should go left or right.
Yeah, you're really difficult to defend, and I think that's where Salazar, if he's on that ad side, would be looking to run that ball down. But boy, things happen fast.
Yeah, and Mike, going back to the conversation we were just having there, great ball by Friedrich. All right, 1-all. And there you see a game where very good execution, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But talk about what separates, call it, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say the top 4 or 5 teams, right? But I mean, the talent is so deep on the men's and ladies side that I think it does come down to discipline and just making better decisions. I mean, the talent level's there.
Absolutely. And I think that's sometimes in some respects, the where the talent, the differentiator between, I mean, how do you say any of these 4 players, one is more talented than the other, with their ability to hit shots? They've all got different strengths, but, the one name that shows up consistently in the winner's circle this year has been Salazar, of these 4 players. And, I think part of that is, a huge part of that is, I mean, you talk about his discipline. Because from a shot maker's viewpoint, these other 3 players, not that Salazar couldn't hit the shots, but he's not the greatest showman on earth on these 4 players. But boy, oh boy, that discipline shows you the weight of the discipline has on people's success.
For sure. And not only that, but it rubs off, right? I mean, Grigorovic is playing a tremendous match. I mean, he's just playing within himself, and
yeah,
not, you know what it is? I think what we're trying to say, you just don't see Salazar press. He just doesn't press. He doesn't get anxious. So, and that puts more pressure on the opponent, just because to win a point, you feel like you got to do more.
Yeah, it's so true.
And I think this is a match that kind of has that feel to it. I mean, Friedrich and Bentheim probably feel like they, I mean, at this point, have to do more to win a game. You know, points in a row. So, and at the end of the day, we've said it many times this season when we've called matches together, Mike. You know, you look at these teams, and there's a bunch of different ways of saying the same thing we just mentioned. They just go into lockdown, and what that means is they just refuse to miss.
Yeah. And if you have a team that's refusing to miss, it's like, well, how do we,
right?
You know, how are we going to win a point then?
And that's where the pressure comes in, the pressing.
Yeah, you'd start to press, or it's like, I mean, because the reality is, Salazar and Tommy G, it's not that they're saying, okay, we're just going to play slow. I mean, you put the ball in the wrong spot like that, yeah, we're going to speed it up. And so there's a double-headed pressure. There's pressure that they're not making mistakes, but then they're also, if, you know, the ball's going in the wrong spot, they're making you pay as well.
Yeah, and they're quick. They're quick to take advantage of a ball hit to the wrong spot. And, you know, both semis were long-fought matches yesterday with both of these teams, but sometimes early on in the tournament you can get away with playing a little faster, and just other teams, you roll through some teams that you certainly can't do. You can't play the same way in the semis and the finals, right?
Right. Well, and part of that, you know, the cream rising to the top. You know, another part too is players sometimes and teams sometimes play their way into, you know, into form that, you know, maybe first match or two, it's, you know, they're feeling out. You know, we've got some partnerships here that are not their standards partners, but I mean, by the time we reach the finals, it's a great overhead. And 100% is he trying to hit that ball straight into the neck there.
Yeah, and I think that tactic from, if you have Grigorovic over there, I think that's a great tactic. You speed it up, make him move a little bit. It's going to be some transition and movement, but what's happening so far isn't really working, so why not, right?
Yeah.
By the way, you know, you have a set game plan, right? And even if it's wrong, if you and your partner know what the game plan is, then you say, okay, you know what? This isn't working, so you know what to adjust from as well. But it starts with having a definitive net scheme in terms of where you're hitting your overheads, right?
You don't know if you're lost if you don't know where you're going. You know, you don't know that you're lost if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, keep going. I like that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you don't have a plan.
Mike, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm just going, baby. I'm not lost. I just.
Yep. I think what you just said makes a lot of sense. I haven't heard it before, but I like it.
You know.
If you don't know where you're going, you can't be lost. How about that?
That's true. I love it. These are kind of life lessons that we're teaching here too, Guy.
Absolutely.
This is,
all right, let's see if we see Friedrich with the hammer here. Yep. There it is, right?
that is it.
And you can see how you see how Grigorovic is pushed over into that side screen. That's the trouble with that roller overhead coming to the deuce side. It's just you get pinned.
And you don't have the space to get out of the, yeah, you get kind of backed into that side screen.
Right. And if you let it go to your right, you know, move to your left to let it go to your right, then you're just chasing it. And the way that Friedrich's hitting that, and Bentheim as well, but, you know, the last series it was Friedrich. The ball with that topspin does not come up. It stays down. All right, so 3-1 again, a close game. You know, Bentheim and Friedrich had looks.
But if you look at the kind of the free points, and not free in the sense that, you know, they didn't have to work for it, but the point ending shots in a lot of instances are, you know, I really like that look from Bentheim there to step in and drive it. But, you know, I'd question, does he need that big of a drive?
Yeah, it's just a little frustration, you know, that's all. And Salazar and Gregorovic are clearly switching out on purpose in the backcourt, even though Tommy G's seen a lot of these balls. He's got some rhythm spinning around. Salazar's drifting in the middle, ready for any type of nick, and even they're ready to help, right?
Well, he's got him in the spin cycle here.
Yeah, he does. Interesting to see if Gregorovic keeps defending this well, if there'll be someone trying to do a little bit more. That's just a, I mean, look, he's spinning around, Mike, and as soon as there's one ball that doesn't hurt him, how quick he's able to jump on it. Let's see if they switch out quick here again. There it is, bang. Yep. That's another reason, you know, from a tactical perspective, playing with different partners, you know, you might have a side, and this could be mutual, that you both just feel like, hey, I return so much better on this side, but when we're playing, let me switch sides with you. You know, just another option, right?
Yeah. Because you might have that player whose, you know, drive is better out of the deuce side, but their lob, you know, they see the court better when they lob out of the ad.
Sure. I'm going to state the obvious. You ready, Mike?
Lay it on me.
So Bentheim and Friedrich either need to win this game quick, or they need to make Salazar and Gregorovic play a long, long game and hopefully switch some of this momentum. And that's why I was asking earlier, do you think the longer the point goes, does it favor Salazar and Gregorovic? And I think it's clear to see that it does.
Well, and I think that,
so far.
Yeah, and I think that goes into the play, how well Tommy G's playing. You know, I just jinxed him. No, it's good overhead. But, you know, his ability and willingness right now to be fully committed and waiting for that right ball to drive. And, you know, it seems to me like he's got a pretty firm, you know, he's set and he's like, okay, you're going to hit every ball to me. You better be right with your overheads and be willing to hit a lot of them.
And what you're seeing from Salazar here now is he said to Gregorovic, basically, just you worry about your corner. I got anything in the middle, which is helpful. You can see how far over he's playing when he knows for sure the ball's going to go there. But at the same time, when he's going to play and drift that far, Mike, he will never get beat behind him because that's actually the only ball he's looking for. He's already in the middle. He doesn't have to look for that. I like this strategy by them, you know, starting to create some mistakes. I mean, and their overheads are so deep with so much spin. I would be interested. I was just going to say I'd be interested to see if Salazar starts playing that forehand side a little bit more as the pressure continues with Gregorovic over there.
But look at his positioning. He's got basically straddling that center hash mark there.
Yeah, because he knows where every ball's going. Great ball by
that is
Tommy G. He's just hitting to the open space because obviously Friedrich was looking to move to the middle. And we keep in mind too that when Salazar plays with Regalado, obviously he plays the deuce side of the court. So you'll see if Grigorovic starts playing the ad again when they are on the baseline, that those rollers and those hard balls aren't as effective on that side because they turn into back sides, which turn into offense. On
Well,
the
and
deuce
you also,
side,
yeah,
just out.
the ball's just long.
It was. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
You know, in the ball with the top spin, the rolling spin into the deuce corner, if you're hitting the side screen, it's tending to bite and stays in the corner a little bit more, where it runs out on the ad side.
Right. Yeah, so let's see if they stay or switch. I think that ball kind of made them switch, but. All right, back to the wheelhouse here, right, Mike?
Some good lobs. It's not impossible to hit that aggressive roller from that far back in the court, but definitely makes it a lot harder.
I tell you what else is impressive is how deep the rollers are, because they're hitting it, some of them from behind the service line. It's like this. That's not that easy to do, because if he hits it short, it's an easy ball to drive. Wow, Tommy G. Tommy G's going to bring some of his own. I like it. And hey, Mike, that's a perfect example of this.
That is
there it is.
Fantastic cutter.
I mean, I think it's one of the best in the game. I mean, when he hits it off his front foot like that.
That's saying something.
I was going to say, you know, that a couple points ago where you had all the transition, that's a complete look at the modern transition game, right? Up, back, great hands, knowing what to let go, knowing what to volley.
Yeah, and it's a seamless, you know, where all of a sudden you know, there's no craziness to it. It's just there's a willingness to play from either end of the court, you know, be it at the net or back at the baseline, and you know they're equally as comfortable in both, you know, in both roles.
Absolutely. Right there, you saw Friedrich and Bentheim. They knew it was going to come off the back screen, sit back up, no need to even move forward. All right. Advantage Salazar, Grigorovic. Good leave on that lob. Again, not looking to reach for a volley, right? And here we are, 4-1 in the second set. Mike, let me tell you about one of our great sponsors, Corient. Corient is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 2024-25 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at Corient.com. You know what I was going to say too, Mike? You know, you see how quickly in the backcourt Salazar and Grigorovic are adjusting to what Bentheim and Friedrich were doing. Obviously, they were hitting roller after roller at Grigorovic, and you see how quickly Salazar switched back and started playing that forehand side of the court to neutralize that tactic.
Yeah, and it's such a the best teams are willing to shift
quickly.
You know, it's such a case. Yeah, it's a, you know, cat and mouse game out here, and when they see something that is imbalanced out of their favor, you know, whether it's a strategy or it's a positioning or, you know, it's how quickly it's like, boom, okay. They recognize that it might be problematic and make a change to alleviate.
Well, and they basically made that tactical adjustments within a game, within the game that it was going on. You know, they're not willing to lose 3 or 4 games in a row. Great shot by Friedrich. You know, they're just not willing to do it. They're making the adjustments that quickly. You know, they're not going to lose 4 or 5 games or even a set and say, oh, now let's make an adjustment. They're doing it immediately.
That's so true.
Wow, that is a great dig by Grigorovic. That, I mean, Friedrich put some sizzle on that. And that's kind of the feel that Salazar and Grigorovic will, you know, just make you press a little bit, right?
Just trying to hit the extra, going for a little bit more potentially. You know, we talked a little bit, Guy, about the Nationals at the Philly Cricket Club first week in March. You know, we'd also want to mention the Team Nationals that's coming up the April 5th and 6th, I believe. Chicago at Exmoor Country Club. We're kind of actively involved in that, intimately involved in that as well. It's, you know, last year I think we had close to 500 women, 350 men that participated in the event. It's a great event where you get like six to 8 of your friends. They don't have to be from the same club, same region, anything. Just really have to be within similar kind of PTI level, a range of between 10 and 15 points. And we play a great weekend of paddle. The men will be in the Chicagoland area. And the women are going out to New Jersey area. And so for those players out there, grab 6 or so of your closest friends and sign up for a fantastic weekend of paddle and camaraderie.
Yeah, that's just grown and grown over the past few years, right, Mike?
Oh, it's gotten so big that we've had to not only split the sites in the sense that the men and we bounce from year to year. The women will be playing this year out east, and the men are in the Midwest, and then we change it. But also, we're having to go to multiple sites as the host sites because we can't really host 500 of our competitors at one spot. So yeah, it really has, and it's just a big, it's great fun. There are, I think we go live with the sign-ups next Monday, so a week from Monday. So if anybody's itching to get there, don't hesitate, sign up, and we'll see the men in Chicago in just over 2 months here.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't want to be there right now. The weather that's been going on, right?
It's you know, it's a heat wave here. I think we're at like 32 in Chicago, so sun shining.
Good move by Ben Kine.
Yeah, but I think he was just trying to hit that cut drop shot.
Would have been the time. He's on it. All right, 5-1, Mike.
Do we need to say now is the time? Be a great comeback.
Yeah, it'd be a good one, down 6-1, 5-1. I tell you what, I'm sure we've all lost a match that we were up like that, and you remember it. And the only way to get over a loss like that is to win one like that.
That's true. Might have to win two because that tends to sting.
The speed of that drive from Bentheim was perfect.
And what made it better was it wasn't too hard, right? And he was able to get the ball to drop a little bit below net level. It makes for a tougher volley.
For sure.
And it makes them think whether should they let the ball go through and play it off the back screen. So you tend to make the volleyer think whether they're going to take it, play it as a volley or play it as a through ball to the back screen.
Yeah, and I would say being down 6-1, 5-1, you know, mentality-wise, it's just you're not thinking of winning a game here. You're thinking of winning 1 point at a time. And then, you know, right, even though they're down 5-1 in this set, they're up 30-love in this game. I mean, that is a good feel. I mean, again, I know I'm stating something that's clear and simple and obvious, but you got to start somewhere when you're down 6-1, 5-1, and it starts within the game, winning the game. You know, it's 30-love here, so they do feel like they're up, and then all of a sudden you run a couple of these games off, and then you can start thinking about.
You get a let cord like that.
Yeah, there you go. Lob volley. Wow.
Another lob volley.
Does this point define transition, Mike?
The capital T.
That's the thing about Salazar is he's so good at just resetting the point by pushing it down the middle when things get fast like that, and basically the point just starts completely over.
Yes, and you know his willingness to take a point and slow it down, you know, to that, just pump the brakes. That's what I think that is a big differentiator, as well as, you know, someone at that next level below will continue to try to play at that speed and still, you know, their will on the point when sometimes, you know, you just can't, and we need to reset and go back to work.
And that's how, you know, Grigorovic and Salazar, this, you know, certainly in this match, have just minimized mistakes. They know when to speed it up and they know when to slow it down. Great drive by Bentheim. So some 40-love to deuce.
And I think, you know, if this score line continues to hold and, you know, Grigorovic and Salazar win this match, not that both players deserve the credit, but I think the difference thus far in the match is, you know, from what I've seen Grigorovic play, you know, over the last year and a half, it'll end up being his play today that I think is the differentiator. He's playing extremely well, extremely committed to their game plan, and very disciplined.
For sure. If you would ask me the same question, you know, what do you think the difference in this match so far? I mean, you could just simply say that. And the other thing I would say is that the ability for Salazar and Grigorovic to make tactical adjustments as soon as needed, just like we talked about a moment ago. And there it is wide. That's match 6-1, 6-1.
I mean, that was, I think, you know, and again, comes down to the ability to weather some of the storms. I think Salazar Grigorovich did a great job there of managing their court and managing the offense from Bentheim and Friedrich. And you really look at the difference was the stop. It's season's going fast, but boy, we're all ramping up for the culmination here of the Nationals. And again,
it has,
you know,
it feels like January's just flown by, right?
Yeah. Boy, I'm looking back at our results, and you know the APTA provides us with some great information. Salazar wins Montclair. Regalado Salazar, win number 2, Chicago. Win number 3, Milton Point. Win number 4, Ronaming. You know, there's and they win Boston. Salazar's name's in the he's having quite a year, that Salazar, isn't he? I mean, not that Regalado isn't either, but boy, Salazar's putting in the miles.
Yeah, his name's out there, isn't it? Yes, it is. Well, Salazar and Regalado, they've only lost that one match. And that was, I mean, it was a longer match than the score says, but those points in that match with Broderick and Christian playing against him were long. I mean, it's combined with a good strategy, but you know, you see, you know, Bentheim's his name's in the lights quite a bit as well, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's, you know, they're Bentheim and Frazier lost in the finals of the Midwesterns. Frazier in West. You know, so I mean, they'll end up being. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the end of the, you know, kind of as we cruise into Nationals here to see. I'll be interested to see kind of that 5 through 12, you know, the seedings and how well, you know, what's the team that might have their defining upset and you know, make it a run deep into Nationals. Be interesting to see. Time will tell.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know how many big surprises we're going to see. You know, I think it's going to come from one of our top seeds. I think those seeds will hold.
As a fan of the game, I always love that little bit of drama. You know, when we get yeah, maybe a dark horse that makes a run.
Yeah, we hadn't seen one in a while like Durant and Albrights, have we?
Oh boy.
Speaking of Philly, right?
Was that Philly Nationals?
That was.
I called that match. Sitting in front of a computer, watching it. They produced a couple DVDs. Rodney Workman and I were kind of, that was the start of the live stream, and now they've kicked it up a huge notch. 16.
Was that Mansinger Goodspeed in the finals?
Yes, it was. lost. The Mansker Goodspeed won the first set, and then Johan's coming out party with the.
I was gonna say the Johan show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were drawing up a way to change that rule as that match was progressing.
Because I think they changed the rule prior to that. If I
don't know about that. I don't think so. Because he was hitting balls out of the court.
yeah, but they were off of
Yeah.
somebody's
Off of
back.
somebody,
Yep.
somebody's shoe. Yep.
I believe we're still waiting for that interview, aren't we?
Seems like it.
The last Grand Prix is Short Hills next weekend. Is that correct, Guy?
I believe so, yes.
That'll be the fourth Grand Prix, or
Correct.
fourth major.
And that's always one of the best ones, right? I mean, they have the 95s on Friday, and then just 4, 5, 6 different draws and tournaments. Quite an event.
Is that the longest standing?
You know, I was thinking about that. It's got to be, right?
Short Hills was actually 2 weeks from 2 weekends. It's a weekend after Birchwood. That makes a little more sense to me. But, so thank you for Patty for shooting that out. The great Patty Hogan. Even when she isn't.
Check.
Oh, it sounds
Check,
like
check, check.
we're ready for this. Fran Santangelo and champions.
Are we gonna present and then interview, or what's the? How do you wanna?
He's going back to the woods or what?
Okay. Check.
I have 5:30.
Check.
I did a lot growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge. Like, I'm 30 since I was 8, 9, so
Yes,
I play a lot.
okay,
Wow.
guys.
Okay.
Yep.
We're ready. We're hot. We're good. Well, here we are. We're at Ridgewood Country Club. Jose and Tommy, congratulations on your win. Fantastic. I'm sure you guys are excited to win and to win in 2 sets. So yesterday you had a long 3-set semifinal. Tell me about how you were able to close it out more quickly.
So that was not like Louis, not like it was playing great. Anton was playing great. It was a great match, and then Jose was a little bit tough on me at the end of that first set. So I had to be a little bit more disciplined, and then we got it through. After he yelled at me a little bit, I wanted to, be good.
He's
with
a
him,
tough.
so-
He's a competitor. He's tough.
He's a tough guy. He knows how to win a tournament. So it's good to have him next to my side. That's for sure.
Yeah. And this is the second time you've played with each other, and this is your first win.
Yes, thank you to everybody at Ridgewood and the APTA for putting this together. Tommy knows that I can be very tough and difficult to play with, but we have known each other since college. We're close friends, and this one is special. And You know, yesterday Louis and Anton played great drives from the beginning, and we felt like we couldn't control the point and the tempo, and then we made adjustments. We switched on the back and forth. We didn't really give me much rhythm, and then we're able to control the tempo from then. And then the whole tournament was very solid. Great weekend of paddle, and today was very solid all around.
Yeah, one last question. So tell me about you guys played on. You switched in the backcourt. Talk to me about how that came about. What was that about?
So we both have great returns. He has a great return on the back, and I have a great return on the forehand, so we don't want to give that up. And then at the baseline, depending how the point is going, and just trying to give them different looks. If they're getting so used to on one side, or one of us not hitting enough balls, just give them different looks, different placement on the balls. We're happy to make adjustments as we're going, and just give them different looks to opponents. So that worked.
Right. Well, congratulations, Tommy.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations,
Appreciate it.
Jose.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for
for all the
coming to be
tournaments.
here with us. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, Guy, that's a great interview. You see how excited Tommy G and Salazar were for their victory here at Ridgewood Classic. Your final thoughts here?
Well, I think they just summed it up exactly what we would say. First of all, Grigorovic played a fantastic match, and he even alluded to it. He was trying to be funny a little bit, but you know, Salazar knows what he's up to, and he rubs off on his partners. I mean, success-wise, it's apparent, but you heard them say what they did in the backcourt, and it was what we kind of alluded to, and that is, hey, maybe you return better from one side. You heard Salazar say we're not willing to give that up, and I think beyond Tommy playing a really great match, I think just the adjustments that Salazar and Grigorovic make, you know, in the backcourt especially, was the difference.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'd say that's a wrap from the Ridgewood Classic. Thanks to our sponsors, Corient and Volley, as well as Xenon Paddle. We will be, I think, back for next weekend in Birchwood. So that's a wrap here from Ridgewood Classic. Thank you, Guy.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Have a great day,
All right.
everyone.
Welcome to the Cutter Challenge, brought to you by Volley.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.